In this video, we're going to take a look at orthographic sketching. We're going to do a little introduction just to get you a little more comfortable with the basics. Now, you'll recognize this. It's part of the Lego range, and this is a Duplo brick. Now, Lego Duplo is exactly double the size of a standard Lego brick. So when we're doing our sketch, we're going to use this to help us. And we could say that this is either going to be a 1-to-1, so a real life size sketch of a Lego Duplo brick, but it would be equally true to say that actually what we're making is a 2-to-1, so double size, a 2-to-1 scale drawing of a standard Lego brick, because this is double the size. Now, the whole point of orthographics is to show this 3D object using a series of two-dimensional views on a piece of paper. Now, orthographics comes from some of the words you might come across in maths, particularly if you think a little bit about the word orthogonal. Now, an orthogonal line in maths is one that is perpendicular. It's where it comes together with another line to make a 90-degree angle. And that's why we are going to be focusing on using our 90-degree rulers. The suffix to that, the second part, graphic, orthographic, you'll maybe know from other places in words like photographic. And the word graphic just means it's something to do with drawing. In the case of photography, it's about drawing with light, which is where that name comes from. What we're going to do first off is we're going to start by putting our side-on view down. Now, this first view is what's called our elevation view. I'll just pop that underneath it. So the elevation view usually goes down in the bottom left-hand corner of our sheet, and it lets us lay out the other ones off of it. So we're going to do 3 views, because that's going to show it from all of our 3D angles. We're going to do our elevation, we're going to do our end elevation, showing this side, and we're going to do our plan view, our top-down view. The quickest and easiest way to do this is to start by doing your elevation. Now, we've done the measurements, we've drawn this out pretty accurately. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to use what are called projection lines. Now, the projection lines are just going to let me extend these edges out, so it'll help me line up and get the right size for my end elevation. So I'm just going to take my ruler, I'm going to run out and do a nice horizontal line from the top, from that part of the Lego brick as well, and from the bottom. You can see that I'm putting these lines in quite light. And if you're doing a really polished drawing, you'd rub these out by the end. But as part of what we're doing, the projection lines are just there as a guide. They're there to help us. So we're going to start our end elevation, and we can see we've got our horizontal lines to mark in the tops of things. Next, we're going to start putting in our vertical lines to mark the edges. We know from this side-on view that we're going to see the edges of these, but if we're going truly side-on, all these bits will be in a row, so we only actually need to draw the end too, because that's all we're going to see. So, again, we'd be using our proper measurements, but we'll just mark this in nice and quick. So we've got it here. Okay. I would usually start out and do everything in pencil, and then I would go in with a pen to do my outlines once I know where they go. It just gives me a little bit of wiggle room if I make a mistake. I can always rub things out and change them afterwards. So, a thicker line here, my outline is just going to give us the proper edge, and also just a little easier to pick up on the camera, isn't it? So, that's my outline in for my end elevation, and as you can see, how using the projection lines just keeps it all nicely tidy, in line with this, and to the exact same size. We're going to do our plan drawing next. We're going to go up to the top, and we're going to use the same technique, but a little bit tweaked. So first off, I'm going to take my projection lines up from my elevation. I'm going to put in vertical lines here. So I'm going to mark in from the edge of the dots on top, and I'm just going to bring all these lines up. Now, this is going to give me the first set of guidelines. It doesn't really give me everything that I need just yet. For that, we're going to need to focus on our 90-degree corner, our orthogonal corner. So if we take our vertical lines up from this side as well, what we're going to then add, or I suppose you could add the line first, it works both ways, is we're going to add a bounce line. Now a bounce line is just a 45-degree angle that comes off of the corner of our elevation. Now if any of you guys are into your woodwork, you'll know a 45-degree angle, or rather two 45-degree angles, will come together to make a 90-degree corner, because that's a miter joint. You'll also probably know it from mathematics, where we talk about the angles, how they come together and make your triangles. And obviously we're thinking about right-angled triangles. But when the vertical line hits the bounce line, we are going to change its direction and bring it over horizontally. So bring it over to this side, just where those lines cross. Now this will give me a second set of guidelines for drawing out my plan view. So now I've got both the horizontal and vertical lines. I can see really clearly where that plan view is going to go. And I've not had to remeasure anything because I've taken my sizes from these ones and brought them over using the projection lines. So when I come to do my outline for the plan, it's dead simple. Everything's there for me. I can see all of my edges, where everything needs to go. So my outside edges, and then I've got my grid marked in the middle, which shows me where those dots on the top would sit. I'll just do them quick for the video. And we'll mark down that that is our plan view. So now we've got our 3D object shown as a set of two-dimensional views, nice and clear on our paper, in our sketch. There's a couple of other things you'd add at this point. Usually a title box for your orthographic would go down in the bottom right hand corner, and the reason for this is orthographics is a type of sketch that you often use when you're trying to convey something a bit complicated. So they get used a lot for architecture and engineering, so you want to have as much information as you can. So you'd have your title, orthographic Lego. Now again, like I said, if we're thinking about this as a double-sized Lego drawing rather than a regular-sized Duplo drawing, that means we're going to put down that the scale is 2 to 1, double the size. You'd usually also put down the day's date, you'd put down your own name, and usually if it's part of a set as well, you would put sort of what number of the set is. So say this is drawing 1 of 20. That would just help you keep everything right. Okay, so that's the basics of doing an orthographic sketch. We've kept this one relatively simple with just drawing out one Duplo brick on its own, one brick. But as an extension, if you're happy, if this makes sense to you, you could go on and go for something a little bit more complicated and think about showing 2 bricks attached together and how that relates to your different viewpoints. This is also a little challenge for you because it means you start to get to show off what are called hidden lines. So on this, I know that inside that join, I've got these extra little dots. But when they're put together, they're hidden. So on the drawing, what I would do is show them as dotted lines. So it's almost like having an X-ray, which shows you where they go on the inside there. Because we can see that they are going to line up exactly to those, because that's how the whole Lego system works. So that is our quick introduction to orthographic sketching. Hope you've learned something from that and that it's been relatively fun.